For 25 hours every year, Israel's chaotic traffic falls silent. This is the centre of Tel Aviv on Judaism's most important holy day, Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement. Empty roads, bicycles on highways, and a lot of praying. So what exactly is going on here? Where are all the drivers? And how come there are two very different Yom Kippurs happening side by side? But a quick disclaimer before we go any further. Following the October 2023 attack in Israel that killed over 1,200 Israelis and saw nearly 250 kidnapped, and Israel's invasion of the Gaza Strip, over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed and around 2 million displaced. The horrific death toll has led the International Court of Justice to rule that the population of Gaza is at imminent risk of genocide. But Israel has ignored international pressure and UN rulings to halt and limit its invasion and bombardment of the Gaza Strip. This episode was filmed and edited before the war in Gaza, but I know now is a weird time to be publishing videos like this from Israel given the circumstances. My goal through these videos has always been to learn about everything from culture to conflict in the places I cycle through, and present that to you, whoever's watching this. I have covered the war in Gaza and its impacts on Palestinians in 2 other videos that you can find on my channel, and I will continue to cover the occupation of the West Bank in the future. But I am releasing this series mostly in the order that I filmed it, so this particular episode is not about the war, and only covers a Jewish religious holiday. So treat this video just as a glimpse into Yom Kippur, and keep in mind as you watch it that it does not reflect the gravity of the situation today or the suffering millions have been enduring in the occupied Palestinian territories. And with all that context in mind, back to the video. Organising to film on Yom Kippur isn't as easy as it sounds. That's because on holy days, Jewish law forbids doing anything considered work, which includes everything from cooking to driving and, unfortunately for me, filming. Those rules apply for 25 hours, from sunset when Yom Kippur begins until an hour after sunset the following day when it ends. But I'd managed to get in touch with a rabbi from a conservative synagogue, Ariel, as he was getting ready for the big day, who agreed to help out. And this is the ark, right? With the Torah behind it.
Yeah.
But first things first, he had to lay down some ground rules.
People will sit and stand around. I will be somewhere here. The only thing that I would ask you not to do is don't stand before people who are davening, who are praying.
Yeah.
Actually, it will be quite packed, so it will be a challenge for you. But maybe the easiest would be for you to find like 1 or 2 spots, stand up and film from above. I would start filming from the outside, from the courtyard, because the end of the service is like a borderline between the holiday and the weekday. So it's tricky because we are still praying and we are pushing a little bit the holiday, but at some point it actually ends. So I will tell you when the holiday ends, and then you can enter also with your camera and you can shoot from here. But till that point, just try to film from the outside. Okay? It's not just the halachic issue of not filming, but some people are very sensitive. It's a very intimate moment.
But before I'd experienced the religious side of Yom Kippur, I'd been invited to start the holy day by joining a group of friends on their traditional yearly Yom Kippur night ride. This is how much of Israel's secular and non-Jewish population spends the Sabbath of Sabbaths.
Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement for the Jewish people, the whole country shuts down, TV shuts down, cinemas, everything shuts down. The roads are empty wherever there's a majority of Jewish population. Everybody respects the holiday, even if you're not religious. A lot of people do fast, even if they don't go to services and all. Nobody drives a car, nobody uses their cell phone outside, nobody will eat outside. Just like a day that everybody respects, but bicycles are totally legit. And if you've hanged around a few bicycle shops in the last few days, you'd see them like totally packed, everybody getting their bike fixed for this special bicycle holiday.
Just joined the highway to cycle all the way to Tel Aviv. Wow. Are you feeling it in your legs, Asaf?
No, tomorrow.
Yeah. No cars at all on the highways here in Israel for Yom Kippur. And that means I can stand here safely in the middle of the highway on the way to Tel Aviv.
I go a bit back.
Should I speed up a bit?
Sure, yeah. Whoa, okay. I can handle it. I keep the momentum with the bicycle.
Yeah.
I don't lose momentum.
This is so cool.
4 hours into it. 4 hours into it. Home stretch. Home
Yeah.
stretch. Home stretch.
Asaf, how are you feeling?
Like my father, like I
Yeah.
barely walk. That's what I feel
Do
like.
you know how many kilometers it was that you travelled on
I think it's like 50 kilometers. We've been doing this for 13 years, so it's like our bike mitzvah.
Not everybody was happy to see us out on the roads though.
So while a lot of people are out on the roads and enjoying getting around and cycling and rollerblading and stuff, and 1 or 2 people are driving, for some in the ultra-Orthodox community, that's considered, I guess, offensive because it's breaking the religious laws. And so we just cycled under a bridge, and on the top of the bridge were a load of ultra-Orthodox people, and they were throwing rocks at the few cars that they could see. And then one of them was like peeing off the bridge trying to hit cyclists, splashed my hand, and it was kind of grim, but I've washed it all off now. When they were throwing rocks, like someone said they were going to call the police, so I think they've left. But yeah, so not everyone is happy that people are out cycling on the highways.
But after 50 kilometers of pedaling and rollerblading, we'd made it back to Tel Aviv.
Well done, Asaf.
Oh, it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge. Yeah.
That looked hard.
And I had one last chance to chat to Asaf about what this day means to him.
For me, it's a bicycle holiday. That's really the meaning for Yom Kippur. A lot of people want to hear like there's a whole spiritual aspect to it. I don't really connect to that. I'm very enthusiastic about people observing it, right? That people that don't, like that everything's closed, I'm all for it. And I'm all for that the religious people will fast and that nobody will drive their cars. Like, I'm all for Yom Kippur. I just like, it's not like a spiritual thing for me.
What?
Is there anything religious about the Yom Kippur for us?
I don't think so.
We do go to the beach tomorrow and do a Tashlich, when we empty out our pockets from our bad habits from the past. That's sort of a tradition that we have.
As luck would have it, I'd bumped into a group of Orthodox Jews doing just that the day before. Tashlich means to throw away. The idea is to cast your sins into the water to purify your soul for the year to come. Yom Kippur comes during a month of Jewish holidays called the High Holy Days, and 10 days after Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year. The exact date varies a little, but it's always in autumn and it's always on a Friday. And if you visit Jewish communities between Rosh Hashanah and about a week after Yom Kippur, you'll see people performing Tashlich by rivers, lakes, and the sea. I said goodbye to Asaf and cycled across town through the bustling streets.
Thanks. I'm currently on one of the main roads going through Tel Aviv, and I'm cycling the wrong way down it. So bizarre being in a city this quiet.
The Yom Kippur night ride was over, but the next day was even more surreal.
So here I am on Ayalon Highway, the main highway that goes through Tel Aviv. This is the city behind me. It feels pretty strange to just be in the middle of a highway, walking around, not having to worry about cars.
As the end of Yom Kippur approached, I pedalled across the city to Ariel's synagogue. Because for religious Jews, Yom Kippur is a very different kind of day. From sunset on Friday until an hour after sunset on Saturday, they are fasting. No food and no water for 25 hours.
In a way, there are two different Yom Kippurs happening at the same time. There's the secular, liberal Yom Kippur, which is out here with people cycling around on the streets and making the most of having roads with no cars on them. And then there's the religious Yom Kippur, which is happening inside the synagogues. And that's got a very different atmosphere because Yom Kippur is really a solemn occasion. It's when you're supposed to be atoning for your sins that you've committed throughout the past year and reflecting on what you've done and what you need forgiveness for. So two really different types of Yom Kippur happening side by side, and the contrast is really stark. I'm just outside the synagogue here where Ariel is doing a service, and it's getting closer to 6:57, which is when Yom Kippur ends, and more people are turning up here. It started out quite quiet, and now it's getting pretty crowded inside. The deal was that I'm going to stay outside the synagogue to film until 6:57, and then he's going to extend the service for a few minutes for me to come in and film when it technically won't be breaking Jewish law.
נעשים אחד אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו מחל עוונותינו ביום הכיפורים הזה עשה עמנו אבינו מלכנו חוננו בנינו כי אין בנו מעשים.
To put it simply, it's a day of cleansing. The essence of the day is just to let go all our regular way of being and all those habits that are just holding us back, just to really to purify our souls. More traditionally, it is a day of atonement for mistakes, for sins, if you wish. So it's a day of forgiveness. A day of forgiveness for us and a day of forgiveness that you can give to others as well. The reason that everything was white in the synagogue, the Torah covers, I was wearing also white. It is all connected to this idea of cleansing and being purified in a way. Most people understand fasting, especially on Yom Kippur, as a way of torturing ourselves, actually. It's a horrible idea. But I deeply disagree with this. I think fasting, as in many cultures, is an ancient spiritual practice. The fast actually elevates you. Like I told you at the end of the fast that I'm not hungry. And I wasn't hungry because I was praying so much and I was so into the atmosphere of the holiday. So it literally filled me up.
As the holy day ends, a shofar, a traditional ram's horn trumpet, is blown. Then a candle is lit and a ritual centered around the senses begins.
When there is a holiday, because we are not allowed to light a candle on holidays and Shabbat, it's one of the ritual laws. So the first thing that we light, the first candle, should be like a sacred light that we bring from this day to the weekday. And also the smell, these spices that we are smelling, that's also so that the first smell that we experience, it's also like over a blessing, so it's also sacred. And the first thing that we taste, the wine or any spirit that you can recite the blessing over, you connect this sensory experience with this sacred moment, and this is how we divide holiness from the mundane, from weekday, basically. So we do it by the end of every Shabbat, so it happens every week, and at the end of every holiday or festival. It's like bringing these experiences of holiness from a holy time to the weekday through sensory experiences.
The service and Yom Kippur itself was over, so I joined Ariel and some of his friends to break the fast.
Actually, I got it. Food for everyone, but I didn't fast, so I don't really need. But there is.
How are you feeling, Ariel, after 24 hours without food?
I'm okay. Actually,
Yeah?
I'm not hungry at all.
Really?
Not at all. I don't know how I will be able to eat now because I'm not very hungry. I was thirsty because while I'm praying, I'm sweating. I'm very warm.
While I do come from a Jewish family, I'm not religious, so this was the first time I'd really seen Yom Kippur in action. The day itself had felt like being in two different worlds, separated only by the walls of a synagogue. But that is a reflection of how diverse a belief system, culture, and religion can be.
I think maybe the most important thing about Judaism is it's connected to a rabbinical saying which says Shivim Panim La Torah, which means the Torah has 70 faces. And what I want to tell you is the same about Judaism, that Judaism has 70 faces. There are just so many Judaisms, there are so many ways of living and experiencing Judaism, from totally secular till ultra-Orthodox and everything in between, and every way of inconsistently being Jewish and being, there's even Jubu, yeah, which is like a Jewish-Buddhist mix of philosophies and traditions. So even within our own congregation, there are so many ways of observing or not observing, fasting or not fasting. Really, the diversity is endless, even within a small community like mine. So it's always good to keep in mind, because the majority of Jews are experiencing Judaism and life in very different ways.